Why do white people resent black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed.
Leave black people alone. Leave them alone. They have every right to feel their very valid feelings. Stop.
I would be jealous too. I would want to go to the cookout too. I would want to play it too. Okay? I would be
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Black people are speaking up and standing strong, and you can clearly see how some people out there are getting jealous of our own progress. Black Americans are rising with more confidence, more talent, and more knowledge, and it's making some folks feel threatened. You can see it in their reaction, their side comments, the attitude, and the energy. That jealousy comes from watching black people shine in spaces where we were never expected to shine. But what I love is how black people are responding. They are rising above the negativity. They are calm, smart, powerful, and unbothered. This is new generation. It's not backing down. We are speaking the truth, representing strength, and refusing to let anyone dim our light. Let us watch these videos, see how our people are reacting to all this jealousy and pressure.
Why do white people resent black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, like how much did white Americans actually do in all of that time? If we are to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by like nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you totally deny, the existence of black people for whom success is like second nature when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it. I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest black excellence? What will help you? And for that, I would suggest a lot of therapy, a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye!
It's so weird watching black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities.
First of all, no one's mad. Not one of us is mad. We're actually very happy for you.
It's how happy we'd be to see black people start a functioning black community. We would leave you to it. We would be, oh my goodness, good for you guys.
You're a liar. Y'all have literally never left us alone. Let's get to the point of, but you would be happy if black people created their own functional communities, which is also false, and I think you know that. From the Reconstruction period to Jim Crow, well into the 1920s, black people built free and independent towns. Yet instead of being left alone, those towns were deliberately targeted. They were destroyed, they were burned down, they were bombed, and many of the residents were unalived as a result. Their property and wealth was confiscated from them, and 100 years later, the members of that community still have not received any sort of healing and reconciliation to atone for the sins committed upon them by the white residents and by the white legislators and police officers. White supremacist violence was not just tolerated, it was heavily encouraged. Fast forward to my hometown of Philadelphia to 1985, where city officials dropped an explosive device on American soil, on Americans, at a row house in North Philadelphia because it was occupied by a Black liberation movement, which resulted in a fire that spread to over 2 city blocks, destroying dozens of homes, displacing hundreds of people in a predominantly Black neighborhood. 11 people were unalived, half of them were children. And still to this day, 30 years plus later, no one has been held accountable. And those are just 2 examples. There are hundreds of examples that there have been deliberate efforts to systematically oppress Black success and upward mobility. Whenever and wherever Black people have built independent economies, educational networks, businesses for both safety and autonomy, they have deliberately been attacked. Because historically, right, let's just go on the facts, Black success has oftentimes been met with white sabotage.
Did you know that one of the oldest surviving all-Black towns is in Oklahoma? I know. Tallahassee is considered the oldest of the surviving all-Black towns. Tallahassee is one of more than 50 all-Black towns of Oklahoma and one of 13 still existing. It was founded by Robert McGill Lowridge, a Presbyterian minister who had been serving in the Creek Nation since 1843. Now, it didn't start out as an all-Black town, but rather a site of education for children of the Creek Nation prior to the Civil War. In March of 1850, the school opened its doors, taking in a few dozen people. It was a joint operation between the Creek Nation and the Presbyterian Board of Foreign Missions. In the early 1880s, the population of newly freed Blacks had increased in the area, while the number of Muskogee Creek had declined. Blacks and their descendants were emancipated and granted citizenship in the Creek Nation after the American Civil War. On October 24th, 1881, the Creek Nation Council voted to turn the town of Tallahassee over to the newly freed Blacks. The residents opened a post office in 1899, and the town was incorporated in 1902. The Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railway line ran through the town, helping to attract settlers. Community growth was aided by the Tallahassee Town Site Company, which solicited residents throughout the South who were being oppressed by Jim Crow. Longtime Tallahassee resident Benny Adams said there were never a lot of businesses, but the town once boasted 5 churches, a cotton gin, a movie theater, a doctor's office, and a hotel, all near what was called the Uptown area, near the railroad tracks at the east entrance to town. In 1916, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, AME, opened Flipper Key Davis College. It was the only private higher-level education institution for Blacks in Oklahoma. By 1920, the population of Tallahassee was about 200 residents and remained steady for many years. The recorded population in 1970 was 145 residents. Between the years 2000 and 2010, the population was recorded as 106 remaining residents. In 2020, the town was still majority Black at 32.53%. 24.10% were white, 20.48% were mixed, and 20.48% were Native American.
Even the racist wins when Black people succeed going forward because GDP rises. We're having the wrong argument. In fact, we're arguing. Just don't need to argue. There's not enough college-educated, successful white men to drive GDP. Unless you want to speak another language, we better figure out in the next 5 or 10 years that we're better together. Black people, you better be obsessed with education. It's not about love or hate anymore, like in Dr. King's day. Today, it's radical indifference. No one cares enough about you anymore to hate you. Private security, private roads, private families, private education, private transportation, private schools. We can go on and on and on. They've just separated themselves and said, yeah, y'all do as you like. You want to tear up your communities? You want to tear up your own lives? Knock yourselves out. You want to be like Cam? You want to be like me? Understand that 3,000 years before marriage was spiritual and God endowed it with spirituality, marriage was a business. When the breasts drop and the rear end drops and the looks go away, that's your business partner for life. Eagles don't fly in packs. You've never seen a flock of eagles. Buzzards love packs. Buzzards are low altitude birds. In fact, buzzards are insecure, so buzzards are always shooting at eagles. They have high confidence and low self-esteem. But a turkey is the worst kind of bird, because the turkey's got wings and can't fly. My second great-grandmother was a slave. My grandmother owned a shotgun shack in East St. Louis, taking care of her children. My mother owned 7 homes. I own 700. I'm not a genius, I'm just role modeling, and I know my history. You know, you give a kid a bank account in kindergarten with $100 in it, they're 75% more likely to graduate from.
Pose the question, why do white people hate black people so much? I have been in situations where I've been surrounded by nothing but white people. And this conversation has come up. The race conversation has come up. And no one ever has an actual reason as to why they hate black people. There's always these, oh, black on black crime. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're this. But it's not actually, there's no legitimacy behind their reasoning. It's just shit that they've heard and they're regurgitating. And so, long story short, it really comes down to there is no reason. It's a deep-seated jealousy, a deep-seated hate that, you know, black people exude greatness. Black people are the great inventors. Black people are the beginning of the human race, the Eve gene. And white people have worked so hard to erase the history and erase the greatness of the black race. Down to even when things are invented, the majority of things that are invented were invented by a black person. But yet the white race has actually erased the original inventor from history and have put their names on things that they had no business putting their names on.
Man, I tell you what, nothing makes racist white people more pissed off than me, a white person, trying to educate about racism and trying to educate about what white privilege is and all these things. And it's so funny because these same people will argue with me till they are blue in the face about how they're not racist and we don't live in a racist institution and black and brown people have it so easy and racism doesn't exist anymore. But then they will turn around and say the most racist, ignorant, vile shit you've ever heard in your life. The disconnect is amazing. And this is why I make content like this, because it's so important. Because we do live in a racist institution, and we are all raised in racism as white people. This is simply a fact. And the crazy part about it is every one of us knows this. Even the ones who will sit there and fight with me to the death about it and act like it doesn't exist. Y'all know white people are racist. Y'all know about the casual racism, the casual microaggressions that we are raised in no matter where we live in this United States of America. And this is why I will never stop. I will never stop trying to educate as a white person about racism and how we need to learn. We need to evolve. We need to do better. It's almost as if they feel like admitting to a racist institution or admitting to racism makes them this evil, terrible person. And so they would rather double down than to grow and be a good person. And that's so sad, because all that says to me is that you have a small mind and a cowardly soul. And I wish better for you than that, truly, because everything in your life will get better when you stop being so ignorant.
It's time to stop falling for the trick. Most people have never heard of this quote from President Lyndon B. Johnson, but it might be one of the most honest things any U.S. president has ever said about racism. He said, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, Give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. Now, LBJ wasn't talking about feelings. He was exposing a system. It's a psychological trick that has been used for centuries to convince poor white Americans into supporting policies that harm them. Racism has always served as a distraction, a smokescreen. While the working class is taught to resent or fear black people, immigrants, or marginalized communities, they completely overlook the real cause of their suffering: the wealthy elite robbing them blind. This tactic still works today. Just look at what's happening right now. Republicans recently passed a massive domestic policy mega bill loaded with tax breaks, not for everyday people, but for billionaires, venture capitalists, private schools, and even rum manufacturers, all while slashing social programs, blocking healthcare access, and attacking public education. But instead of demanding answers or change, many working class white Americans are being told that the problem is wokeness, DEI programs, immigration, or black history. That's not an accident, that's strategic. The goal is to keep people emotionally enraged and racially divided, so they never organize around their shared economic interest. That's the real con. Racism isn't just about hate, it's about control. And as long as people keep falling for it, they'll keep voting against their own future. Not because they're evil, though many of them are, but because they've been lied to. And think about it, the lie has been profitable for the people lying to them in broad daylight. So next time someone just tries to tell you that racism is just a cultural issue, just remember it's actually an economic tool used to divide the working class, destroy solidarity, and keep power in the hands of a few.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed. I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek, no more blessing our enemies, no more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us, we've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it, and you couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated.
Now, before Beyonce, Oprah, Serena, any of those rich black people that y'all know today, the richest black woman in the world was an 11-year-old girl. What's her name? Her name is Sarah Rector. She was born in 1902 in Indiana Territory, which is now considered Oklahoma. She was a descendant of enslaved people. After the Civil War, the U.S. government gave land to some of the freed black people, including Sarah's family. But the land that she received was useless for farming. Meanwhile, of course, the white settlers were giving the most fertile plots. Her family struggled to pay taxes on this land, and they were unaware that hidden beneath the soil was something very valuable. It was oil, and not just a little bit of oil. Land struck a gusher in 1913, pumping out 2,500 barrels a day. Just like that, Sarah became the richest black girl in history. The news spread like wildfire. People was begging her for money, sending her marriage proposals, and they even tried to classify her as white just to control her fortune. To escape the chaos, Sarah and her family escaped to Kansas City, Missouri, where she bought this mansion that still stands today and is known as the Rector House. From overlooked land to millionaire status, Sarah's story proves that wealth can come from unexpected places. This is another true hidden figure in American Black history.
Do y'all see the stuff that's shifting around? Do y'all see the stuff that's shifting around? Ever since Black Americans decided to start doing different shit, I want y'all to pay attention to how we are changing the narrative. Now, I just did a video telling y'all about ICE and how folk was mad because Black Americans are working for ICE. Look, they mad because we not being shut out of opportunities. We are being offered opportunities. And I believe that it's because a lot of us got off of that Democratic plantation. Now, I am former 92%. My husband is former 78%. We both made the decision to go independent. Now, little did we know when we looked around, a whole bunch of other Black Americans was on this tip too, right? Because we realized that them folk, right, the blue wasn't doing nothing but putting everybody ahead of us, right? They was more concerned about everybody else's community getting everybody's vote because the Black American community was an automatic vote. So these parties got to offer something to them to get votes. They don't have to offer nothing to Black Americans because they automatically receive that vote, right? So we like, hey, these parties don't cater to us. These parties don't do nothing for us. These people ain't looking out for us. They don't give a fuck what go on with us, right? Because they know, the Dems know, oh, they automatically vote for us. The red know, well, they'll automatically vote for the Dems. Once we started shifting shit, did y'all see ICE throwing more money on them positions? Now they offering student loan forgiveness. And who got all the student loans? What demographic got all the student loans, y'all? What demographic got all these degrees that in the democratic world they want to economically alienate us and didn't want to let us use them? Who got all that? So that lets us know that they targeting us, right? That lets us know they targeting us. And I'm starting to also see some other stuff coming down the tailpipe. But once we get to the point where I start seeing it more clearly, you know, that's the direction they going in, I'll come update y'all and tell y'all about it. But I'm watching some stuff right now. But what I want to tell y'all is this: we moving in the right direction because we are now free agents who don't belong to no party, who don't belong to no set thing, and that we have shocked the world when we decided to stand up and do something different and say, no, we ain't get involved with that. No, we staying in the house. No, and another shocking thing that Black Americans have done is we have gotten more patriotic. We have gotten more patriotic. We have gotten more family oriented. We have got, because see, when you talking about lineage, stuff like that, that's family. We've got more family oriented. We've got more community oriented. We've gotten more engaged in the political discourse, political conversations, and we're analyzing both sides. We ain't just taking nobody's word for it. We looking around and we assessing, how is this going to benefit me? How is this going to benefit my family? How is this going to benefit my community? We have certain objectives and we need those objectives to be met. Now, all these other folk wanted us to align with them, knowing that anytime Black Americans align with anybody, we always end up at the bottom of the movement. We ended up at the bottom of DEI. Hell, I don't even know if any of us got DEI. I'm going to tell you why I don't know if any of us ever got DEI or affirmative action. Now, I did post that clip where them big executives was talking about how for affirmative action, they was hiring Nigerians specifically, but African people, and letting them get into the colleges and universities, the Ivy League schools, because they count as Black. And I suspect that the corporations and jobs was doing the exact same thing. Black Americans ended up on the bottom of that. But y'all got to understand the positions that Black Americans play in this country. We can't go nowhere. We gonna always be here. And I know various different African countries are pushing for us to go and take interest in their countries and go there and develop and all of that different stuff. But we're so far removed from that it's like, come on now, why would I want to go to another country, somewhere else, be an immigrant in that country, and also at any given moment y'all can fight me and decide to take everything that I put here? Because ain't that what they did to the white folk? You just give them, they invited them white folk. Don't let them lie and say they did. They invited them white folk. Them white folk built up shit. 500 years later, they want to say, y'all got to go because y'all ain't African for real. They tell us all the time we ain't African for real. So why would I go there and play games with them when I know that their objective is just for Africa, the African countries to be developed and for economic advancement? Maybe they're going to take our money, kick us out, leave us high and dry. And now we're not African citizens, nor are we American citizens anymore. So why not just take care of home? Why not just continue making home what we want it to be? Because can't nobody kick us out this bitch. Can't nobody kick us up out of here because it's ours. Okay? So I think that we need to continue playing the game the way we playing it. But I wanted to bring it to y'all attention to pay attention. Pay attention to how these new moves and these new ways that we are doing things is starting to pay off for us. Pay attention. Because we got all kinds of sides, all kinds of stuff vying for our interest now because they see that we are doing something different, that we are on a completely different mindset, that we on a completely different type of wavelength because we ain't looking for no home, we ain't looking for no roots, we ain't looking for none of that shit. We here. And I think that us locking in is starting to spark some interest and curiosity in other groups of people that could very well pay off for us in the end.
Did you know that research shows we have less empathy? 2014 study from the National Academy of Sciences, 2017 study from the Social, Psychological and Personality Science, 2021 study from the Journal of Humanistic Psychology, 2023 study from Harvard that studied over 60,000 participants. All these studies demonstrated that white people feel less empathy, especially towards black people who are suffering. Even the well-meaning white people. As an academic, a lack of empathy is how we excuse harm, how medical bias happens, how police brutality gets minimized, how workplace abuse and gaslighting gets ignored. It prevents white people from changing the systems that are harming the black community. What can us white people do? 1, when you feel discomfort because of the suffering of other people, stop trying to come up with some bullshit excuses and learn how to sit with the discomfort and connect to it. 2, believe people when they tell you about their suffering instead of trying to minimize it or justify it. And 3, expose yourself to black storytelling. Not just trauma stories, but black stories of joy, of nuance, of complexity. Empathy deepens when everyone is humanized. There's no requirement to feel shame to grow empathy, but there is a requirement to feel something. And I think that's something us white people struggle with. I hope this helps.
After watching those videos, one thing really stood out to me. You can clearly see how some people get jealous when black people rise. They don't expect us to speak with confidence, shine with talent, or stand strong. And when we do, it makes them react. You can see it in their faces, in their tone, in the way they try to change or dismiss us. That jealousy comes from fear of losing control, fear of seeing black people grow, fear of change. But what I love is how black people respond. We stay calm, we stay smart, and we stay focused. We don't let their jealousy energy pull us down. Instead, we rise higher. And that's what bothers them even more, because our strength doesn't break. Those videos show something powerful. Their jealousy is loud, but our confidence is louder. Their doubts are strong, but our pride is stronger. And no matter how they act, we keep moving forward.